Hi everyone. In this lesson we want to see how we can divide by a polynomial. Alright, so I have a polynomial here divided by a polynomial here, and we can divide these in a process similar to the way we divide numbers using long division. So first thing I want to do is go ahead and write out my dividend here, x squared minus x minus 4. And I'll make my little division bar like this, and I want to divide it by x minus 2. And I want to, as I'm doing this, make sure that my terms are in descending powers, all right, both the divisor and the dividend. And then I ask myself, what do I need to multiply this x by in order to get x squared? Well, that's just x. So x times x is x squared. And I also have to multiply the x by the 2. So I want to multiply this by the whole divisor, so that's going to give me a negative 2x. Alright, now this next step is really important. What I want to do is I want to subtract. I need to subtract, and I need to subtract this whole thing. Now this is where you'll make a mistake if you're not careful. So you want to subtract very carefully. You want to put parentheses around this and put a minus sign out front. You want to be careful about just changing these signs, because later if you go to check your work, you're liable to second guess yourself and make an error, and this way you can keep track of what was originally here to make sure you multiplied here correctly, and then just distribute through. So I got x squared minus x squared is 0, as it should always be in this step, and then a negative x minus a negative 2x. Well, this is going to be like plus 2x, right? So plus 2x minus this x is x. And then go ahead and bring down the minus 4 and do it all again. What do I multiply x by to get x? That's just 1. So I multiply the whole divisor. That'll give me x minus 2. And then I'm going to subtract very carefully. I'm going to put parentheses around this, put a minus sign out front. X minus x is nothing, 0 as it should be. And negative 4 minus a negative 2, that's going to be the same as adding 2 to negative 4, so that makes minus 2. So I can write my answer here as either remainder negative 2, or I will probably more commonly write it as your quotient plus your remainder over your divisor. Alright? Now, just like in long division, I can check my answer here by multiplying the divisor times the quotient. So let's check this. If I multiply x minus 2 times x plus 1, and then I add in the remainder, that should equal my dividend that I started with. Alright, notice that's the same thing as like a mixed number. You can sort of think of this as like a number plus a fraction. And the way we convert something like 3 2/5, 3 plus 2/5, to a improper fraction, I take the 5 times the 3, that'd be 15, and then you add the 2. So that's the same thing as 17/5. Same thing here. If I take the x minus 2 times the x plus 1, that's what I have here, and then add the remainder, that should give me my numerator of my original fraction, right? So this is going to give, let's check it. So let's FOIL this out. X squared, x minus 2x is minus x, and then the last one's giving me minus 2. Then when I add the minus 2 in there, sure enough, I get my original dividend. Okay. So this is going to be my answer. I'll go ahead and circle that one. You could circle this one as well. Either one of those would be okay. Alright. Now, let me do another example here. This is an example where there's a term missing. Notice that in the dividend there's no squared term. So when I divide this one, I want to be sure and leave an extra space, x cubed, and if you want, you could put in here plus 0x squared. Or you may just leave it blank. You don't have to put that in as long as you understand that there's that term missing. Okay? So let's go ahead and divide by x plus 2. X goes into x cubed, x squared times. So multiply by the whole divisor there. This is x cubed plus 2x squared. Now it's really important that I have a space here, because if you didn't do that, then you'd be trying to subtract, the negative x minus the 2x squared, and they're different terms. So that's why it's important to account for any missing terms here. So go ahead and subtract. X cubed minus x cubed is 0. Nothing. 0x squared is minus 2x squared. That's a negative 2x squared. Okay? And just do it again. Multiply x by negative 2x. Will give you a negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times 2 is negative 4x. Go ahead and subtract that very carefully. Be sure and put parentheses, put a minus out front. Negative 2x squared minus a negative, that's 0 as it should be. Negative x minus a minus 4x, that's really adding 4x. Minus x is 3x. Multiply x by 3 will give you 3x. And then the 3 times the 2 is 6. Again, subtract very carefully. 8 minus 6 is 2. So I just go ahead and write my remainder 2 over your divisor like that. And we'll call that good. That's my answer. All right. One last problem here. If a term is missing in the divisor, here's an example of that. Here I've got an x squared minus 2. In this case, it looks like I have all my terms in the dividend there, but I'm going to go ahead and do 3x to the 4th plus 2x cubed minus 11x squared minus 2x plus 5. Okay, and if you want, you can leave a space like we did. 0 x's minus 2, or you can just be careful. In this case, I'm going to actually leave it blank just to illustrate the idea that we want to just be careful to align our like terms. So it isn't necessary to put that in. If I multiply x squared by 3x squared, that'll give me what I want right here, 3x to the 4th. So 3x squared times x squared is 3x to the 4th. And then when I multiply the 3x squared by the minus 2, that's a negative 6x squared. Well, I don't want to do it here. See, there's really a term missing, and if you want, you could go ahead and put in here 0 x's, so you have basically 0 x cubes here. Or you can just 3x squared minus 2 is minus 6x squared, and just remember to line it up with your squareds over here. All right, subtract very carefully, and I'm going to get 0x to the 4th, and then I've got a 2x cubed, and I didn't have any x cubes here because this term was missing. So I got 2x cubed there, and then a negative 11x squared minus a minus. That's going to be adding 6x squared, so that's a negative 5x squared. Then you can just bring the rest of the problem down and do it all again. X squared goes into 2x cubed, 2x times. 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. 2x times minus 2 is minus 4x. And I'm just going to line it up with that x term over there. Again, I'll subtract very carefully. So I'm going to get 0x cubes. I'll get the negative 5x squared. Negative 2x minus a minus. Don't forget you're subtracting. So I've really got a plus 4x here. Minus the 2x makes a plus 2x. So what do I multiply x squared by to get negative 5x squared? That would be negative 5. So that's going to give me negative 5x squared. And the negative 5 times the negative 2 is 10. Subtract very carefully. Put your parentheses, put your minus sign out front there. So add these down, you'll get 0. I get 2x here. 5 minus 10 is negative 5. Since my degree of this term is 1, and here I'm dividing by a square, then I know that I'm done, and so I can just write my answer as my divisor, or my remainder, 2x minus 5, over my divisor, x squared minus 2. And then this will be my final answer.